Hey there, UX designers. Have you ever wondered how to cover your bases in your experience design solutions? Or how to avoid getting a project halfway through and then it being derailed by some unforeseen instance? Well, in this video, I want to share with you a 5-part simple framework by James Garrett to help you improve the breadth and the depth that you explore your design solutions. Let's dive in. Hey there, I'm John Dial, and I'm here to help you improve your design and creative abilities. Now, this simple 5-layer framework has been around for a while, and it's really one of the few frameworks that have stood the test of time in the UX industry. And this book, James Garrett wrote, The Elements of User Experience, is actually one of the few books that I was introduced early on in my UX career. And it's really been one of the few things that I've used almost every day as I think about leading design and actually practicing design, especially in the digital landscape. So let's unpack this 5-part framework. And I really recommend that you go and read the entire book by James Garrett. And I'll link that down in the description. It'll be an affiliate link, so if you tap that link, it'll help me out, help the channel out, and it'll get you a great resource in the end. But this 5-part framework is pretty simple. It starts with the foundation of strategy. Now, all good UX design actually starts with a strategy. It starts with a set of user needs, a set of business goals. It starts with value proposition mapping and business model canvassing. It starts with a very clear articulation of what is it that we're trying to accomplish here. And that is what's the bottom layer, the foundation for all the design work that's going to come above it, and for all the design work to actually reflect that strategy through. So first of all, we have to understand that strategy is the foundation of our 5-part layer cake. Next is scope. Now, with every project, there's always boundaries, and I think of it often as like a field where you have sheep kind of roaming around, and there is a fence line, there is a rock line, or something like that to keep them penned in. Now, you have to define the areas of what is and is not in play, or else at the end of the day, you're going to come up with a solution that's just simply not feasible, or it's not possible. Or it takes so long that you actually put more value into it than you're actually ever going to extract from it. So scoping is a very important activity to actually outline where we're actually playing, the kinds of activities, the kinds of software, the kinds of infrastructure and or materials that are at play for our design work. For UX designers, this often means understanding how the UI interacts with back-end systems and how they play together, and really how it integrates with the user on our end, so we can know what is actually possible and what's at play. The 3rd layer in our layer cake, and now I'm getting hungry for cake. Chocolate or cheesecake? Maybe both. Anyway, we're talking about structure. Now, structure is the underpinnings. It's essentially the organization of all of the information and the traffic and the flows that we'll use to actually move people throughout the system. This is where information architecture comes into play. So we can structure categories of information. We can make sure the taxonomies of words are also working out correctly, and that it makes sense to people who are going to be interacting with it. There's a ton of research you can do here to actually validate those ideas and structures, but it's really important to make sure that your structure is intentional and that you formed it well. The other side of the structure is also interaction design. How does the person interact with the system? How does the system respond? How does the person move through our experience fluidly, and so they don't get hung up and tripped up on the things that might have been there if we weren't paying attention? This is the idea of structuring our system well, structuring our design solution well, so that it works best for members and customers every day. On top of that, then, we have our skeleton. Now, this is where the meat of design is often seen. A lot of times you can look at user interaction flows, system blueprints, or even information architectures, and they kind of get set as the backdrop to all the work that's going to be coming. And it's usually less visible to people who are consuming the design work that we do. Whether that's a project manager or an end client, it's important that we articulate and show what these things are, so that as we get more and more concrete in our design work, that we're doing what is expected and best for members, and everyone then is on the same page and happy. So our skeleton lays on top of our structure. It lays on top of our scope. It lays on top of our strategy. To this point, everything has been pretty abstract. We're starting to get more concrete the further we get up this layer cake, but at the end of the day, we're going to start assembling affordances. We're going to start assembling buttons and input fields and text that's actually going to go into our UI and into our experience, and it's going to do it in a way where we can start to see what it's going to look like and feel like. At this point, we're not really dealing with any typography, with fonts, with colors, with spacing. Those kinds of things are still yet to come. But what we're trying to do is create a structure, a blueprint, a wireframe for the actual interfaces that people are going to be involved with. So this is the fourth layer of our layer cake. This is the skeleton. And lastly, the cherry on top, or I don't really like cherries, so how about sprinkles? And lastly, the sprinkles on top are the actual UI design, or the visual design, or what James Garrett calls the surface. This is where things really begin to shine. This is where you can introduce beautiful drop shadows and wonderful, powerful colors and exquisite typography, and all of these kinds of last little touches that make the UI amazing and sing, and really make all the work that you've done below it more credible to the people who are going to be consuming the product. So this is it. This is our cake. This is the wonderful dessert of UX, if you want to call it that. But without all of these pieces working together, you wind up having something that's really gross. And this is where everything sort of works together to make a delicious, wonderful dessert, to make the experience pleasurable and enticing and enchanting. For instance, imagine if you have a cake that has a chocolate filling and a mousse layer and a wonderful set of delicious cream on top. All of that works together to have an impact that's harmonious and wonderful. But you could assemble a set of flavors that don't work well together, and that just sounds gross. And people are going to see that and feel that in your UI. That's why we take a layered approach. That's why we take a harmonious approach to the work that we do. Every layer that you're laying down in this cake is actually reinforcing another layer somewhere in the cake. So I hope that this idea of a dessert is helpful to you as you do your UX work today. It's sort of a mental picture that's probably going to make you hungry, and I'm sorry about that. There are other metaphors that use a cake, and it's good to explore those as well. But in this situation, I want to make sure that you as a designer are equipped to think about the different layers as they come together to make up your design, so you can hand off a wonderfully delicious cake to the people that you serve every day. Whether it's gluten-free or it's paleo or whatever it might need to be, I want to make sure that you're delivering and equipped to deliver the kind of wonderful desserts that our customers need to enjoy. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me know what kind of content you all are interested in and how to best help you. And if you had a question or something was confusing, make sure to leave a comment below. I'll be sure to follow up with you and answer any questions you might have. Thank you so much for watching. Go make some awesome cake today.